General impressions, that's our topic. We interviewed Binghamton University students who observed court proceedings in Broome County. Here are some of their relevant comments.
I felt that sometimes they were very different, just depending on who the individual was or what the case was, and a lot of times a lot of the sentences were different for similar crimes that were committed. For example, a drug case, many drug cases I witnessed, depending on the race of someone or the gender, a lot of the sentences were different and not consistent through the whole process.
Mm-hmm. Just really surprised on how the criminals or the defendants were treated in the courtroom, kind of just pushed to the side. They were kind of not even respected as humans in some cases, I thought.
I was pretty shocked when I first stepped into the courtroom. I had never been in a courtroom before, and I'd never actually seen a real-life prisoner before. So when they had them come in shackles on their ankles and their hands, it was really emotional for me, actually. I didn't know that it was going to be like that at all. And I thought that the judges were a little bit harsh sometimes. The way that they spoke to the prisoners, the guards were really harsh with them a lot of times, and I didn't expect that at all. When the verdict came out or they were being put into prison for the first time, the guards were very rough with them, taking off bracelets and watches and stuff and pushing them into the next room.
I would say overall my experience in the courtroom was kind of eye-opening, just seeing the disparities and amount of minority races that were present at the time of the sentencing. I went in thinking it was going to be more of like a traffic court, so I thought I was going to see more people in normal clothes coming in, but my first day I went in, sat there, and I saw felons coming in their orange jumpsuits with their wrists and ankles shackled. So it was kind of eye-opening to see these people that are actually on the verge of getting long sentences and going to jail for a while.
In what I witnessed, a lot of the defense attorneys seemed unorganized, actually. There was a lot of instances where they had to make new court dates because defense attorneys were not prepared, because they didn't have the right paperwork, logistical things like that, and that actually really surprised me. Probably the most memorable moment was when one defendant was getting his court date postponed for the third time because his district attorney did not have the right paperwork again. So what was going through my head was that he had to spend yet another week in county jail, and it wasn't his fault.
Every time I was going into the court, I kind of felt sad, especially seeing the younger males in there. It was just kind of sad, and the looks on their faces were most of the time defeated looking. So
I felt they were often rushed. Oftentimes the judge would just push right through what he needed to say, get across the point, just so he's doing the legally right or correct thing. So I always felt like the defendants and defense attorneys didn't really have time to argue or try to defend themselves as appropriately as possible.
It was really interesting to see, about what we learned about in class and see how that was really applied in the real world. Also see how things were run, how confusing it could be, how fast everything went, things like that.
Often sad and kind of not depressed maybe, just because so many people were going away or going to be incarcerated for a couple years, if not a good amount of years. So there was a lot of people, especially if you had family and friends that were sitting in the back of the court, that you'd often see their reactions and see how upset they were, and also the expressions on the people that are being incarcerated, their face too just says it all.
I think it was most interesting how the whole courtroom viewed the people that were held in the jail and were wearing the uniforms, because it's kind of just like a separation of people. This is the public and these are the criminals, and it's kind of just fully divided. So yeah.
Sad. It was definitely not a good environment to walk into. People are being sentenced to years in prison possibly, so not good.